A feud over who's more aligned with President Trump on foreign policy is getting personal tonight. It's between the third-ranking Republican in the House and fellow Republican Senator Rand Paul. And it gets to the heart of much of what we've been talking about this week, about how this president sees the world and his ability to shape it. Here's correspondent Jillian Turner, as neither appear to be backing down anytime soon. Hello, Jillian.
Hi, good evening, Mike. So the Republican conference chair and the Kentucky senator are still going at it. Their war of words is now kind of in full swing after igniting about 24 hours ago. We don't often see heated inter-party conflicts over these kinds of existential issues, like the U.S. role in the world, the failure and success of the first two world wars. So you might want to grab some popcorn for this brewing foreign policy fight. The number 3 House Republican went after what she calls Rand Paul's isolationist views and accused him of a warped sense of global reality.
There are issues that surround whether or not you put America first, as President Trump does, or blame America first, as Rand Paul does and has for years.
Paul shot back, saying, as far as legacies go, better to be called an isolationist than a warmonger, putting Americans' lives at risk for the sake of other countries.
I guess the problem with the Cheneys, both Dick and Liz, is that they've always been never-Trumpers. They hate President Trump's foreign policy. They want to stay in Afghanistan forever.
Cheney slammed Paul for being weak on military spending and engagement overseas, hyping up President Trump's efforts in the process.
One of the most important things this president has done since he's been in office is devote the resources we need to rebuild our military, an effort that Senator Paul has not supported.
Paul took to Twitter to highlight the new direction of the GOP in the MAGA era. Few people have been as wrong on foreign policy over the last few years as the neocons and Liz Cheney. Republican leaders downplayed the idea there's a nasty split within the party.
No, I think it's a difference of opinion when it comes to national defense. And it's simply that. People can have a discussion about policy. That's healthy.
So both sides appear to be currying favor with President Trump, but at the same time, both have different worldviews from him, demonstrating the GOP's continuing evolution in how it sees America's role in handling hotspots from Afghanistan to Syria. Mike.
Jillian Turner live here in Washington. Jillian, thanks a lot.
You bet.
That red-on-red battle over America or Afghanistan first going on tonight at the GOP retreat in Baltimore. Republicans there also pouncing on the Democratic debate, especially when it comes to guns. Vice Chair of the House GOP Conference, Mark Walker, joins us now. Congressman, great to have you.
Always good to be with you, Mike.
So what do you make of this battle between Cheney, one of your colleagues, and Senator Paul? Is this a battle about the future of the Republican Party on foreign policy between the more hawkish wing and the more libertarian wing?
Well, I think it is a battle, but I think it's healthy. I consider both Liz and Rand good friends of mine. I have the privilege of working with Liz, certainly a colleague, as you said. She's tough as nails. But I think it's a healthy dialogue because not always, to Rand Paul's point, regime change is necessary. Sometimes it's better to leave the regime in place. But there are times where Liz is right in this, where a stronger presence or a stronger military approach does deter some things later on that could be potential crisis. I think who's got it right in this is the president, because what he's doing is gleaning knowledge from both of these particular strategies. The heavy-handed one as one that's, I think, a little bit unfair to call him an isolationist, but one that Rand Paul supports, which is the least amount of military at different places, the better. I think he takes those two opinions, even Lindsey Graham and others, and then therefore comes down with what is the best approach, what's the best long-term military strategy that we should have.
Leave it to the commander-in-chief.
Leave it to the commander-in-chief.
Okay, on guns,
yes.
Here was the president at your retreat.
Okay.
Democrats want to confiscate guns from law-abiding Americans, so they're totally defenseless when somebody walks into their house with a gun. It's like, whatever you want, whatever you want. I'm defenseless, whatever you want. How crazy is this?
And of course, Beto O'Rourke last night talked about taking people's guns away from them, yet the Washington Post ABC poll says 89% out there favor universal background checks. So what do you do?
Well, I think anything that we can do. I think the president has signed 2 specific bills into law, the School Safety Act or Stop Violence Act, as well as the Fix NICS, that make sure that we're following up if there's any underreporting going on for somebody who is looking or going through the background check. But if you look at the facts, Mike, in the last several years, since the 1990s, gun ownership has gone up 60%. That's close to 130 million guns. At the same time that 60% has gone up, violence, including gun homicide, has dropped in half. So you have to be making common sense. As far as Beto O'Rourke, I served with him for a few years. I remember this. He had the promise when he was running for Senate that if you like your AR-15, you can keep your AR-15. Last night, he was saying that he was going to come as the executive branch. It may be the reason that Beto never got anything done in Congress is because he doesn't understand the difference between the executive branch versus the legislative branch of what kind of rules and laws you should pass anyway.
All right, then there's great anticipation about the upcoming IG report, about all this deep state stuff. What's your sense of what this report will do when it reaches Capitol Hill? Yeah,
I had a good friend that called. The person that probably knows as much as anybody on this is John Ratcliffe. Took him away from his wife Michelle tonight, but we talked through some of this. I think it's very important that we look at what happens with the Inspector General. What is his report? I believe you're looking at a few weeks. You have these classifications, these negotiations that go on, but I believe that 80% of this report should be made public at some point. I think this weekend there's a lot of people, former FBI officials, that should be and rightfully be uncomfortable. I believe that it's going to prove that President Obama, or not specifically himself, but some of his administrative officials, the FBI, were using Carter Page to target the president. If that is so, if we can prove that, in the words of Lindsey Graham, this could be bigger than Watergate.
Mark Walker, Vice Chair of the House Republican Conference. Thanks for your time, sir.
My privilege, Mike.